All right, I think we'll get started in that case. A very warm welcome to all those of you who have joined today. This is our first coffee and conversation session this year. Last year we had three such sessions, and the whole idea of the CNC session, the coffee and the conversation sessions, is that these are informal meetup points for members of our IRMI network. We are growing. There are more people joining research management roles in different institutions across India. So it's really nice to have a forum where we can all meet on an informal but fairly regular basis. And just to structure the coffee and conversation sessions, what we tend to do is to have some kind of a theme. So that's the thread that runs through the session. And we have some speakers who lead by presenting their experiences on that theme. And then usually that's opened up for conversations. So that's exactly what we are going to do. And so today we are actually going to focus on a subject called intramural funding. Now, most of us research managers are concerned with external funding. We're helping our PIs secure funding from external agencies. But there are institutions that also put in place intramural funding schemes, which, as the name suggests, is from internal sources. And there is usually a specific strategic reason why this intramural funding scheme is put in place. And research managers play an important role in administering these schemes as well. So today, let us explore some of the reasons why institutions take the strategic decision to have an intramural funding scheme. Let's look at examples of that, how the schemes are administered, what is the role of the research managers, and maybe have some conversations on the impact of such schemes. And we're very fortunate that we have four wonderful colleagues who have agreed to join us and share their experiences. So we have Dr. Madhavan Nair and Kangna Bagani from Ahmedabad University. Hi, Madhavan. Hi, Kangna. So Madhavan is the grants manager at Ahmedabad University. He's also a former member of staff from the India Alliance. So Madhavan, there are some India Alliance staff who have joined saying we want to hear Madhavan speak. So welcome back to the India Alliance platform. And Madhavan and Kangna together work at the University Grants Office for Ahmedabad University. And so they'll be sharing their experiences. We also have Dr. Sneha Ranade and Dr. Meera Thomas from the Bagani Research Center for Bioengineering at IIT Bombay. So Sneha and Meera, between them, administer both intramural funding and external funding for the WRCB at IIT Bombay. And it's wonderful to have you both join us today to share your experiences. And what Sneha and Meera will be talking about is also about supporting the research to innovation pipeline. And so very warm welcome to you as well, Sneha and Meera. So on that note, let's just get started. And just a few words about the format for those of our colleagues who have just joined in. Madhavan and Kangna will first make a short presentation about intramural funding at Ahmedabad University. And then Meera and Sneha will talk about intramural funding at WRCB at IIT Bombay. We'll take a few questions for our speakers, and then we'll open up the floor to other conversations. And it'd be really good to hear from other participating institutions about intramural funding. What kinds of intramural funding do you see at your institutions? What are the purposes they're used for? And what is the impact of that kind of funding? So without much further ado, I hand over the stage to Madhavan and Kangna to talk us through intramural funding at Ahmedabad University.
Thanks, Savita. I hope my presentation is visible. Can you confirm?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Before at the onset, thanks to India Alliance, thanks to the IRMI program, and thanks to you, Savita, for giving us this opportunity. It's nice to be among old friends. It's a little strange on this side of India Alliance platform. Anyway, so I'm the grants manager at the Ahmedabad University Grants Office, and my colleague Kangna is also here. And we are here to share our experiences with running the Intramural Grants program here. Um, to start with a couple of words about the university. We are a private university set up, established in 2009. And if the name has not already given it up, we are located in the heart of Ahmedabad city. We are a research-focused private university with the research component embedded at every stage of the curriculum here, right from the undergraduate degrees to the postdoc training. The university is organized into three schools: School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, School of Arts and Sciences, and the management school is called the Amrit Modi School of Management. The Arts and Sciences School is also is further organized into divisions for different aspects or different streams of arts and sciences. We have a division for biological and life sciences, humanities and languages, mathematics and physical sciences, performing and visual arts, and social sciences divisions. In addition to the three schools, there are 5 specialized centers for specific areas of research, and there is a startup incubator called the Venture Studio. The research activities at the university are overseen by the University Research Board, or URB in short, which is headed by my boss, the Dean of Graduate School and Research, and it consists of senior faculty members from the different schools in the university and a few external experts as advisors. The objective of the URB is to support and promote research by the faculty, students, and the staff. And one of the activities of the URB is to review and recommend proposals from the faculty for intramural grants, or the grants supported with internally generated funds. As a relatively recently established private research university, it is imperative that our faculty and students are provided as much support and encouragement as possible to conduct research and have the maximum possible advantage when competing with their peers for extramural grants or grants from external agencies. With this objective, the university has established several mechanisms or several schemes to support faculty research through internally generated funds. In the subsequent slides, I quickly run through some of these through these details of these schemes, and then I will dwell a little in a little detail about the activities of the University Grants Office and what role we as research managers play in administering these grant schemes of the university. So the startup grants are intended to support newly recruited faculty members to establish their labs and research programs at the university, or to hit the road running, to put it in a different way. So this is especially useful for those faculty members who are recruited for their first faculty position at our university straight from a postdoc experience or from their after their PhD training. And as you know, for faculty members who are just establishing their labs, they often find it difficult to convince external funding agencies and their screening committees to give them a grant, give them their first grant. So this mechanism is basically helps them to establish their programs, to generate, to train a few students, to generate preliminary data, and then to submit a strong application, a competitive application to an external agency. So I've given a couple of examples of the kind of research that was supported through our startup grants program. So till now, grants worth more than 3 crores were awarded to the faculty by the URB through the startup grants mechanism. Seed grants is slightly different. This is to support preliminary research work on new or emerging themes and to generate data or preliminary data before a full-blown application is submitted to an external agency. So this basically, as you know, most of the funding agencies, a lot of funding agencies and their screening committees in this current atmosphere of extremely high competition for limited research funds, the funding agencies and their committees tend to look at things like feasibility and relevance of the research in the respective areas. And this sort of funding helps our faculty have an edge by generating the data or proof of concept information, which has a greater chance of convincing these committees to give them the funding. We also have, as you would have seen from the introduction slide, the university has a very diverse community of faculty who work in a variety areas of research, right from history and humanities to cutting edge research in technology like AI or genetic engineering. So one of the areas that the university focuses is to encourage interdisciplinary research, and university challenge grants is a mechanism to support these kinds of extremely interdisciplinary research work between researchers from very different areas of work, of traditional areas. Teaching material or teaching innovation grants support work that will develop novel or new or innovative teaching techniques or teaching aids or tools that can be employed in classrooms. We also have grants that support our faculty to attend conferences where they have been selected to present papers or make oral presentations. These could be conferences held in India or abroad. There's also support for organizing conferences and bringing prominent researchers from all over the world to our campus and interact with researchers and students here. Now a little detail about the mechanism for funding these grants from the faculty, and the role that we as research administrators and grants office play in running these grant schemes. So we have developed a common portal. The application processing is entirely online. So for which we have developed a portal, University Grants Portal. So our role starts with administering these grants. The application forms are designed to collect all the necessary information required to evaluate each grant application. So just because these are intramural grants, there is no guarantee that just by applying these will be funded by the University Research Board. Every application is evaluated for its merit and for the research stringency of the research methodology. And so the forms are designed by the grants office in such a way as to collect all the information that will be required to evaluate the applications. So the applications are collected through the grants portal, and then they are run through a review to ensure that all the necessary information is submitted and in a format that is acceptable for the review. Once all the applications that are complete are then passed on to the board, University Research Board members, who then evaluate the applications and make an award decision on whether to grant the funds to the particular faculty or not. For the startup grants, which are, like I mentioned earlier, awarded to new faculty members, we follow a slightly different mode of review. These, while all the other funding schemes are reviewed by the members of the University Research Board with support from for evaluation of startup grants, we take support from experts outside the university, and these are sent for review, and the feedback is shared with the faculty members, and depending on the recommendations from the external experts, the faculty may be asked to revise the proposed research program to improve it. And once the URB finds the proposal to be fundable, an award decision is made. So we as research managers and from the grants office are involved in every step of this process, right from collecting the applications to evaluate to their scrutiny for administrative scrutiny, to collecting the reviews, passing them on to the faculty members, on passing on the responses from the faculty members to the University Research Board, and providing the University Research Board with all the information that they would need to evaluate an application. Our role doesn't stop with the award decision process. We are then involved in regular monitoring or review of the progress of the awarded grants, and which involves collecting, for example, with startup grants or with seed grants, collecting information about the outcome of the grants and how those have helped the researchers progress. At the end of every grant, a completion report is collected, which is again reviewed by the URB to understand how the funding has helped the faculty establish themselves, or the products or outcomes of the funding in terms of papers or further additional funding from external sources. So that's basically the process or the mechanisms that we follow for our internal funding mechanisms. Thanks for your time, and we are happy to take any questions or additional discussion.
Thank you so much, Madhavan, for that excellent presentation. And it's such a wonderful resource for Ahmedabad University faculty to be able to tap into. So I'll just request you to stay on board for a while. We'll have Sneha and Meera's presentation next. In the meanwhile, for all our attendees today, if you've got any questions for Madhavan and Kangna, please do put them in the chat box, and we can take up the questions once Sneha and Meera have also finished their presentation. So, Sneha, Meera, over to you.
Thank you, Savita. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Savita, for the lovely introduction. And thanks to you and to IRMI for this opportunity that you have given to me and Meera. So, so today, and hello everyone. So today I'm going to talk about WRCB. So Madhavani Research Center for Bioengineering, WRCB, is an interdepartmental research center at IIT Bombay. We support translational research to develop technology solutions for the community. The key areas of interest for us are diagnostics, therapeutics, medtech, and synthetic biology. We encourage faculty members to have more interactions with industry, medical practitioners, and entrepreneurs. So we promote interactions, we facilitate these interactions through WRCB. All the activities at WRCB are supported through generous donation by our IITB alumnus, Dr. Ramesh Vadvani. He is a serial entrepreneur and a philanthropist. And of course, we have a fantastic team at WRCB. The center is headed by Professor Debjani Paul, with support from Dr. Abdul Rab, who's a CEO, and the core committee or the executive committee, consisting of Professor Talur, Professor Sen, and Professor Tirunkodulu. And of course, the team, the administrative executive team, which includes me, Meera, Devanshi, Radha, and Mr. Chandrakant. And we all handle different aspects of research management and day-to-day running of the center. So basically, for product development, we have identified that the support is needed at different stages. So we have identified these four support systems. So the intramural funding is handled by Meera. Of course, she will talk about it in more detail. But that intramural grant is a catalytic funding provided by us, which gives a good enough jumpstart or a head start for the projects to go to the next stage and finding further funding and take it to the next level. But of course, Meera will talk more about it in the next few slides. In addition to that, we have this so we encourage collaborative projects. So we also help with identifying collaborators, potential collaborators from industry, academia, or from medical or clinical background. To facilitate these type of engagements or interactions, we have set up industry research partnership program. In addition to industry, we also engage with not-for-profit organizations and CSR arms of various corporates who also have a certain focus areas where they want to collaborate with IIT Bombay faculty members. And to encourage or to provide opportunity to network, we also organize different small and big events where we have one-on-one meetings, we have networking events, and so on. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, WRCB funding or the intramural funding is a catalytic funding. So for the product development, they definitely need funding from other sources. So with that, to provide support for that, we have started this extramural funding support system here at WRCB. And of course, Savita has been extremely helpful in setting up of that system here. Her experience has been very, very valuable. So through this EFS, we provide external database. The database goes to all the faculty members on monthly basis, which has information about different funding opportunities that are of interest to WRCB faculty members. We also arrange interactions, visits, engagements with different funding agencies and follow through on queries on behalf of WRCB faculty. We also provide support with grant writing, but with the non-technical components of the grant application packages. And of course, we arrange webinars, workshops which are relevant to fundraising for WRCB faculty. Now, once the projects have matured to the next stage, they will need additional support. So we have Abdur and Devanshi who are mainly focused on finding this commercialization support. So we engage with investors, venture capitals, incubators who can provide support for scale up and commercialization. We also have a lot of mentors and consultants who are associated with us, who are providing the different like support with different aspects of commercialization. For example, IP, legal, regulatory, creating the business plans, pitch decks, etc. We are also working towards developing clinical and engineering infrastructure, which will accelerate these projects further. And we have just very new thing that we have started this commercialization funding support through WRCB. For basically, we have identified some of the gaps for these mature projects to go to the next stage. So to support that phase, we have started this commercialization funding support. And in addition to that, of course, we help them find funding or other support from other sources. But the focus of today's talk is on intramural. So I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Meera. She is going to talk about intramural funding support at WRCB in more detail. Over to you, Meera.
Thank you, Sneha. Thank you for the extensive introduction. Hi, everyone. So I'll talk now about the intramural funding support at WRCB. So the main focus of intramural funding support at WRCB is to accelerate the translation of innovative lab level solution, basically to take lab level solution from lab to market. Then we support the development of a potential product or technology right from proof of concept stage to address an unmet need in the community. By over 10 calls for proposals since 2015, we have funded more than 80 projects, and we fund around 20 to 25 lakhs per year, up to 2 years per project, based on the stage of what is the stage at which the project is at. Now we have a very extensive review process, and the assessment of the proposal is based on several parameters such as technical feasibility, novelty, potential for generating IP, market need of the proposed solution, etc. Now, many of the projects they grow from a very early stage to much higher level through our funding. Such projects we highly encourage them to submit for the advanced level grants as also. So now to talk about WRCB's proposal review process. Once we receive the call for responses or proposals, in response to our call for proposal, there is a preliminary screening which will be done by the core committee of WRCB. So that once the preliminary evaluation is done and initial shortlist is made, then we send these shortlisted proposals for external technical review. So generally we send these proposals to at least 3 external reviewers. A single proposal is sent to 3 external reviewers, and we give them a period of around 14 days to come back with a review report. These reports are evaluated by the core committee members, and then once the evaluation is done, and if we have at least 2 reviewers recommending a proposal out of 3, then we consider those proposals for funding. So now once we receive this reviewer comment, these comments or the possible proposals which are eligible for funding are sent back to the PIs for rebuttal. Once we receive these rebuttals from the PIs, and if they have addressed the concerns of the reviewers successfully, then these projects are funded. So along with this technical review, we also do an IP and patentability evaluation of the proposals also. So such early evaluation in the early stage of the proposal submission will help WRCB and the PI to know about current state of the art and what are the related technologies which has been patented, which is related to the proposed technology. Now, what are the unique advantages of our funding? So, our funding is translational research grant. So, it is mainly we fund proposals which has translational technologies which has a potential to go from lab to market, and we support early to advanced stage projects. Also, if if there is a potential for an idea, even an idea level project, if the reviewers find it good enough, then we also support such projects also. Now we give funding to different budget heads, namely equipment, human resource, consumables, travel and contingency. So what are the benefits of IFS? So compared to a government grant, our grants are very flexible. So based or following a simple process and with proper justification, we can allow extension of project duration, and also we allow reallocation of funds between different budget heads, which is not very easy in case of government grants. De-risking is another important factor. Many a times, very early level projects find it very difficult to find a industry funder at very early stages. So our funding will come in right at the early stage to take a technology from a very early stage or very low TRL stage and help them grow to a high TRL stage where the PIs find it much easier to find the industrial collaborator. And as Sneha already mentioned, we also provide several support services based on the requirement of the project and PI. Along with our regular calls for proposal, we also have special calls for proposal addressing the need from the society. So during the COVID pandemic time, we had a fight against COVID-19 call, which aimed at providing solutions to the COVID pandemic. And another was a paired program which was focused on to improve academia industry relations, where the PI was to create collaboration right from the proposal stage with an industry. So we also organize several outreach events at WRCB. So through these outreach events, we aim at creating a strong network between PIs, potential student entrepreneurs, with industries, investors, funding agencies, and enlighten them about commercialization, market needs, etc. So this is a consolidated slide of our impact over the past 7 years. We are really proud that we have done very well academically and in the commercialization aspect as well. We have several startups and many more in the pipeline. Thank you everyone for kindly listening to our talk. We'll take questions now.
Thank you so much. That was an awesome talk, Meera and Sneha. So, yeah, very nice to hear efforts both at WRCB and at Ahmedabad University. And we'll open this up now. Abdul, could you enable audio and video for all our participants today? Because that'll just make it more interactive. And I think we have already got one question in the chat box from Alpana. And I think if Alpana's audio video is enabled, Alpana, maybe you can ask the question yourself. Okay, we're just waiting for that. Yeah. Abdul, could you enable audio and video for all?
Yes, Dr. Savita. In a minute, everyone's audio and video will be
Okay, awesome.
Everyone's audio and video has been enabled.
That's great. Thank you, Abdul. So, Alpana, maybe over to you. I think if you could turn on your audio and video and you can have a conversation. Yeah. Hi, Alpana. How are you doing?
Hi. Good, good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Go ahead.
Thanks. Thanks for organizing this. So, thank you for both the presentations. They were really nice. I am actually interested to know
Alpana,
about the
sorry, if I
portal.
could just quickly interject. Could you just introduce yourself, where you're based?
Okay,
I think
sure.
for, yeah, yeah.
So I am working as a research management fellow at National Institute of Biomedical Genomics, Kalyani. So we are a DPT autonomous institute. We are a small institute, and we were contemplating to get a portal for our that was mainly for extramural research. But during the talk, you mentioned that you guys have a portal for intramural research. So I just wanted to know a little more about that, and if you have developed it in house, or is it something which is already which you're using from a provider or something. Thanks.
Kangna, maybe you could take that question.
Yes, sure. So this portal is completely in-house. We have developed with, of course, the consultancy services provided by Dr. Savita Iyer. She has given a lot of new ideas how we can create it. And we have a technical team here who actually converted those ideas into a system, and then, of course, grants office. So a lot of people, they came together, a lot of brainstorming, accounts team, a lot of brainstorming happened, and we developed this system in-house, which is really working fine and helping both faculty as well as administration to handle grants end to end, right from the submission till the completion of that particular grant, both external and internal. That's really working fine.
Oh, great. Thanks. By any chance, is it available for anyone outside the institute to, for others to use?
No. I mean, it's completely in-house. As I said, I think if we took about 8 to 9 months, I would say that bringing ideas, it's just like to create a flow chart, like what, and because every organization have their own process of submitting and approving the proposals. So we actually first decided, or like we've actually put everything on paper, what is our process and how we can create a system. So it's completely designed as per our needs. I don't think so it will be actually helpful for others, because we have a committee which reviews, so it first go to that committee. Otherwise, I mean, it has a lot of things. I mean, it is designed as per our process, as per what our university is following. So
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kangna. Thanks.
That's great. Are there any other questions? You can raise your hands or whichever way. So yes, I think we have a question from Shravanti. Shravanti, could you turn on your camera and introduce yourself briefly first?
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Shravanti from CCMB Hyderabad.
Hi.
Nice to actually, have peers who are all sailing in the same boat and somebody who can give in a lot of input. So I look up to, Savita and others always to see what's going on new at IRMI. So thank you for having this. So the question.
I think we lost signal.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yes, please go ahead.
So apart from the grant aspect, do you also in this software have options to look at the other aspect, which is the expenditure part of the grant? Like say there is an extramural or an intramural grant and they raise indents or do whatever kinds of purchases. Do you also include the expenditure aspect of it, wherein the PI can monitor their balances on a regular basis through this, or is it just about the grant and processing of applications?
No. I mean, yes, very much the PI can see their expenditure account. So as I said, majorly it was between grants office and accounts team. We developed this so they can anytime see what all, I mean, balance they have and how much is spent. So the team is, I think, fortnight. They are updating the figures on the portal because they cannot do it on live basis. But yes, as per sometimes some requests come in between, so they update it, and the PI can see it immediately and go ahead with the whatever process they want to do it in terms of making UC, SC, and all of those. So it's really helpful for faculty in terms of seeing their expenditure on the portal.
So just one last thing to add to it. So can they also follow up their purchases, in the sense, say they order something, can they follow up where your indent or your order has gone? When are you going to receive? Is that also integrated in here?
It's in plans. It's still not implemented, but it's in plan. We have a separate portal for purchase requisition, but we want to integrate that portal with grants portal. So that's in plan, but still not implemented.
Okay, sure. Because we are also trying to we already have one as part of the CSIR system. But still, as you were mentioning earlier, it always requires an in-house thing to manage it even better. Yeah. So we are also looking in the same line. So I was thinking, so you have an integrated purchase, finance plus the grants office. Yeah. So everybody has their own login so they can view.
Yes. In fact, we're trying to integrate HR also, but somehow it's taking a lot of time because a lot of recruitment also happens in a grant, GRF, SRF. So we want everything at one place, but it's taking a lot of time. I mean, we hope that very soon we'll be able to see all of those in that portal itself.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
Great, let's move on. Are there any other questions for our speakers today? Well, if not, maybe they'll come along as we go through the session today. But I'm actually going to open up the floor now and ask our colleagues to share other experiences of intramural funding, since that's the theme for today. So we've got NCCS, we've got ISER Pune, so several other institutions. So please go ahead. Aradhita from Ashoka. So Aradhita, would you like to share any insights on intramural funding from the institutions you worked at? Quite sure. Aradhita? No issues. Okay, so we also have Ajay here with us, Ajay Pillai. Ajay, I was wondering if you would like to share your thoughts. Okay, so maybe I'll turn the question around. We do have colleagues from the India Alliance who are attending, and so managing the intramural funding, I mean, that's an entire process at the institution, and there are obviously parallels with what happens at funding agencies. So I was wondering if any of our colleagues from the India Alliance would like to share their thoughts. Please do put your hands up. If not, I might just put you on the spot by calling out your name, because feel free. This is a forum where we can share our ideas. Surinder, would you like to say something on the theme?
Thank you, Savita. Hello all. Thank you for the nice presentation from both the teams. And yeah, this the intramural funding. The concept is relatively new to the Indian institutions, and uh, and having a well-defined system to process these applications is a good way to manage these grants. So I had two concerns. One is, what about the reviewers? There was a point about approaching external reviewers. So who is the target? I mean, are we reaching out to the international experts or experts within India? That's one. And the second is, these portals are being developed using third-party companies. So what is the data management plan and the policies in place to safeguard the information? Uh,
Thank you, Surinder. Let's take up the matter of the peer review first, and I'm sure Madhavan and Meera will have comments. I think the peer review at both the institutions is a bit different. So maybe Madhavan, if you could just talk a little bit about the peer review process at Ahmedabad University.
Yeah, thanks, Savita. So the peer review is like probably at India Airlines, based on the subject in question and the area of work. We try to approach the most relevant expert in the field, irrespective of whether they are in India or abroad. So whoever can provide the most relevant feedback is requested to, and of course, it also depends on who wants to review. So there's no restriction as such on where or who we approach for feedback, except that they have to know the subject and be available to provide their feedback. On the Is that all, or should I also comment on the other aspect of the data management?
Sure, please go ahead. Yes.
This was the data management. The data is entirely saved on the university's repositories, and no one outside has access to it. So it's pretty secure and restricted to university users and the IT team here.
Thank you,
Madhavan. Yeah.
And maybe I'll just ask Sneha and Meera to talk about the peer review question as well.
Yeah. So we send out the proposals to both international and national level faculties who are experts in the field. So basically, we contact them, we share the title of the proposal and ask them to provide a confidentiality certificate and sign a no conflict of interest certificate, because we don't want any personal or derogatory comments to come in because they have an overlap in the research interest. So that is about that. And regarding the data management, we don't have as such a data management kind of a portal at WRCB, because IITB itself has a large, the account system and all. So the faculties, everybody have a user ID and login, and they have a dedicated system where they handle all the grant related expenses and everything. Until now, we haven't started an online grant submission possibility, but recently we have been exploring, because we recently learned that IITB has a online grant submission portal which has recently started, and we are planning to do our next call for proposal via that portal. And actually, before learning about that, like Alpana was asking a question. So before that, we also have a website of our own, which is under development, which is currently in a good stage it will be nice for you to go and visit our website. So we all had also discussed the possibility of such a grant submission portal so that we can do our internal grants. So we had also, if interested, you can actually contact a web developer and they will have a lot of templates which can cover all your grant related aspects and help in the online submission. Yeah. Thanks, Savita.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So, Shilpa, do we have Shilpa here with us? I think we do. So Shilpa manages a fellowship scheme at her institution. Shilpa, I was wondering if you'd like to share your thoughts on intramural funding. Hi, Shilpa. Can you hear me, Shilpa? I think you're on mute.
Hi, sorry, am I audible?
Yes, you're
Yeah,
audible.
hi. Hi, everybody. Thank you. That was very interesting, of course. But I was just grappling with the fact that we do not deal with. I work in an organization which is a not-for-profit organization, and we have as an offering, as a capacity building initiative, we have a fellowship program which we run. So we do have a website which is specifically targeted with information about our program, etc. But I am, as part of the DBT funding, I am now navigating a space where I can build up a centralized sort of research management information system. We do not have any sort of, in terms of intramural funding. I mean, this is funds. These are funds which are pegged in house for a particular project. So that's what we use at present. But we are scoping, for other projects, etc. So intramural is something which has been very interesting, and I'm not sure how exactly it will fit into my organization's structure. But the other conversation around having a management information system which you have developed has been very interesting, and I hope that I can be able to build upon that.
Thanks, Shilpa. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you.
And I think we have a question from Relina. Relina, would you like to?
Yes, Savita.
Go ahead.
So I for WRCB. Hi Sneha, and you guys spoke about patentability of a project, like how you assess it during the application process you mentioned. So I wanted to understand, how do you go about assessing it, and how much importance does it have in the final outcomes, right? I understand that you are what you are processing is slightly different from what we do at funding agency, but still, how much importance does patents have, or the translational ability of a project have on the outcomes at your end?
So basically, since, as you already mentioned, our grant is based like translational support grants, because we want to take these grants from from lab to market. So many a times, most of the researchers in IITB, as you know, they are fundamental science researchers, and they are not aware about what is the what are the problems, or which they will face when they try to take their technology from lab to market. So what we do is, initially we do a thorough patent search, which is once we receive the proposal. So we generally organize a meeting between our faculty, and we have a personnel in IITB campus itself who does dedicated patent search, and also we connect them with the IP consultant which is facilitated by WRCB. So the PIs, they are the right ones to say what are the right words, or what are the correct points which are the main focus points of their proposal. So for example, they have like if you have a point of care technology to check some sugar in urine, so maybe there are patents who say blood sugar through blood or saliva, I mean just for an example, but urine may not be done. So I mean it is important to know what are the voids which are present in which are patented, and what are the voids which are there and which we can fill. That is one aspect. Now another aspect is that sometimes the technology is already available. For example, there is a platform technology to develop a particular type of drug, but then whatever is that may be imported. It is available abroad. I mean, we don't have an indigenously developed process to produce that drug, and also we may not be affordable. Like if it costs some 10 crores for a vaccine which is developed in the US, it is not easy for a common person in India to go for that treatment or get that vaccine. So what we also aim is for the indigenous development of such technologies. So given that there is also a possibility that that may be commercially available, but we also explore the aspects of indigenization and avoid in the market value. I mean, what is the affordability of the product. So through patent search, and we come to know about all these aspects and also the scope for this technology to get patented.
Thank you. Thanks for yours as well as Madhavan and Kangna's presentation. Very interesting. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. So I think we have a question from Rajshri. Rajshri, would you like to turn on your video and ask your question for both teams, please?
Hi, I think, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, for some reason my camera is not working. I hope that's fine. So actually I was interested in knowing that how easy or difficult was it to get the researchers involved, because this is a separate portal that we're talking about. So I think one of the first hindrances is people, they're very comfortable in sending out emails, but if it is, going to another portal, accessing it and putting things there, I mean, sometimes people might not be that eager to do that. They might feel like I'll just send an email off, that's easier rather than going to multiple web pages. That's, I think, one of the challenges that we have faced here. So I was interested in knowing how if you have faced such a challenge, and if how you have managed it. The second point to this was because there's an external peer review system involved, so researchers, they might get antsy that their ideas might get scooped up, and also how do you deal with that? So these are the couple of points that I wanted to hear from you about, and amazing presentations from both teams. Oh, and a brief introduction. I'm from TJ, the George Institute, from the Delhi office, and I used to work for India Alliance before that. I'm sorry, my camera is not working. Yeah.
Thanks, Rajshri. So maybe I'll request Kangna to take the question first about the portal.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we also had this question when we actually had this idea in our mind that will that be a difficult or challenging, making them shifting, from emails to a portal, or like from paperworks to portal. But I think the way we created actually helped them. It took, I think, 1 or 2 months to understand that, but it was really easy. It was not at all difficult for them to operate. We asked a very few basic information, and they were very comfortable in filling that, and they started actually appreciating it, because anytime if they want to see any communication or anything, they can find at one place instead of searching on emails or just checking papers in different offices, because as you know, grants is managed at different offices, going to accounts, going to grant office, going to at different departments. It's better everything is at one place. So of course they liked it very much, shifting from emails to a portal.
Thanks, Kangna. And I should just point out that, Ahmedabad University, with all its departments, schools, and all, is spread out. So physically as well, it's actually quite hard to get from one place to the other. So it's good to have a portal that kind of brings all the different departments and schools together. But now maybe I'll just ask Neha and Meera to touch upon. I don't know if the portal question actually applies to WRCB, but yeah, to go ahead.
So so thanks Rajshri for the question. So as Meera said, we don't have a portal at WRCB. We don't have any portal yet. We had discussion because as Kangna said, that faculty find it difficult to find things through emails. They get hundreds of emails in a day. So it is much easier for them to find everything in that one portal. Now, the main thing that we see with different funding agencies, they have different level of, the portal is sometimes very straightforward, and sometimes it has many clickable things. You have to go through it for hours and all that. So I think when you're designing something new, it is important to design something that is easy, at least at the first go. The person doesn't get scared by what they are seeing. So as Meera said, we have internal portal that is developed at IIT Bombay, and they also have this proposal submission and all those aspects in that. Of course, that portal is also still being developed, so we are exploring ideas to see if for the next fall can we try that. For the post grant, we already have a well established portal, so that is being used by our faculty. So WRCB grant is treated like any other DBT, DST, or any grant. So when that fund comes, they create the project boards and it is handled through that portal. So that aspect we don't have to worry about. So for the pre-grant or the application part, that grant part is still being developed. So, but it is, we believe that it is useful to have it in a portal rather than just having through emails and all that.
Thanks, Neha. So I think then Rajshri had a second question, which was about the peer review and are the faculty kind of comfortable with that. So maybe Madhavan, if you could talk about that, and then we'll come back to WRCB.
The peer review question is a fair concern to have, but we do communicate clearly with the potential reviewers about not retaining the copies of the review documents, or we clearly have an understanding about the confidentiality of the process, and it is the kind of the requirement of the process to ensure that there is fair feedback and that it helps the process is clearly communicated at all levels. So as to date, we haven't had an issue, and we maintain clear record of all the communications for any eventualities.
Thanks, Madhavan. Yeah, and sorry, did I interrupt someone?
No, Savita, I just wanted to ask a follow-up question to Madhavan because they're using a portal. So I thought maybe I can get this question across. So do you also handle the peer review also through the portal, or is that external to the portal?
No, the peer review process is external to the portal. It's as of now not integrated, but that's in the timeline of future objectives.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think it will be more difficult to convince the reviewers to access the portal, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Rajshri speaks from the voice of experience of having contacted reviewers to review proposals at the India Alliance. Okay, so Sneha, Meera, maybe could we have your views on the peer review question from Rajshri?
Yes. Hi, Rajshri. So we do have initially when we intimate or ask the reviewer to like whether they are interested in reviewing the proposal, we also send along with the email a confidentiality agreement which they have to sign. So that is one thing. And also we when we share the concept note, I mean, we do have a template in which the PIs are supposed to fill in the information. So we ask particularly whether there is any confidential information which they are okay to share with or not okay to share with to external parties, because they are aware that we do send it to the reviewers. So I know cases where they have, called some factor X. They don't want to, the PI don't want to reveal something, so they do, hide the confidential information. So yeah, I think that is it.
Thanks, Meera. So we have a question from Divya in the chat box. Divya, would you like to ask the question yourself?
Am I audible?
Yes, Divya. Hi.
Hi, Savita. Hi, Madhavan. Thanks, Sneha, Madhavan, Kangna, for the really amazing presentations. Nice to see Madhavan after a very long time. So I wrote my question out. I was just wondering, this is not directly related to intramural funding at universities, but one question I had was, if because Ahmedabad University has different schools that work on very different things, is there a way by which the grants office or the research development office brings together people working across different schools and maybe has different schemes for them to promote very different researchers to come together and sort of brew up their own ideas? Is there something that sort of promotes that kind of thing?
Yeah. So interdisciplinary research is, I mean, it's not something, it's not only something that is encouraged, but we, we highly go after people to collaborate with each other, and, so we have this university challenge grants as part of our intramural system, funding system, which is actually meant as a team grant with the requirement that people from totally different schools, not the same school, come together and propose, propose the project. And as for any opportunities for extramural grants that we come across, where there is a potential for people from different schools to come together, we actively put them in contact with each other and encourage them to put together a grant for external submissions. So yeah, so we actively go after them to submit.
Thanks, Madhavan.
Great. Are there any other questions or comments, or does anyone else want to share a story about intramural funding from their own organizations? Then this is the place to speak about it. If there aren't any questions, I just wanted to remind everybody about the IRMI network. Aradhita has a question or a comment. Aradhita, please go ahead. Aradhita, are you able to turn on your video? Aradhita, can you hear me? Sure, there's a technical issue there. Okay, Ajay has a comment. Ajay, would you like to talk about this?
Yeah, so intramural funding was something which we started.
So very quickly, Ajay Pillai is also a former member of staff from the India Alliance. He's currently at NCCS. Go ahead, Ajay.
Yeah, so intramural funding, we are not rich like IIT Mumbai. We have a very small kitty of funds. For that reason, we started something called intramural grants. This is this was initiated in 2017, and the purpose was to enhance the intra collaborations or intra institutional collaborations. A minimum of 3 laboratories should come and submit a proposal. And this will be reviewed externally across India, and everything worked well. So the program which we put was 25 lakhs every year for 2 years for combinedly for all the 3 PIs. Only one grant will be awarded a year, and that means 25 by 3, so around 8 lakhs for each PI every year for 2 years. Plus, we also propose that they can have one project assistant for 2 years. So that means 3 project assistants for 2 years. So we could start this well. We got 3-4 proposals in the first year. One was awarded. Then another 3-4 proposals in the second year. One was awarded. But what I observed is that the way this funding was looked up by different leaderships were different. Because it is a small kitty of funds, and this suddenly got deprioritized because the other activities of the institutions were more important after 1 or 2 years, and then we couldn't basically continue with this intramural funding. So a question which I have is, for institutions which have a small kitty, like normally national institutions have a small kitty of funds, how differently could have been this done, so that I can propose this back to my leadership, because I love the program, I love the interest from my PIs, but from your experience at IIT Mumbai, can you just give some ideas for me? If you don't have this now, I think we can chat offline also.
Yeah, hi Ajay. Thanks for the question. Yes, I would be happy to chat offline. How differently? Of course, we'll have to think about how we can do this. But the funding quantum was not always this high earlier when we started. So depending on what kind of projects, and as Meera said, at what stage those projects are, the funding sometimes is varied basically. So depending on what our expectations are from that call. So we have also had calls where we wanted to encourage them to collaborate with industry. So we have had that paired call that Meera mentioned. So where we wanted them to bring in some funding from industry, whether it's in cash, in kind, whichever. So some part funding comes from IIT and some part funding comes from the external agency. So those kind of collaborative, since you mentioned that you are already doing those kind of collaborative calls, I mean that could be a way to look at it probably. I mean, that's my thing. But of course, there may be definitely more ways. I'm happy to discuss offline.
Yeah. I also thought to generate some external funding, but then I think maybe in the initial stage itself we have to start doing this. When we know that there are like 5 proposals to be reviewed, I think maybe some industries can also be made as one of the reviewer of this proposal, so that they can just get some interest in this, I think.
So one of the things that we are also trying to explore, and we are in the initial stages of that, is that we have, as I mentioned about the industry research program, or we also have this ecosystem partners. So these are different organizations. We have partners like Axel or Human Edge and all that. So we are also talking to them to understand what their need statements are if they are interested in supporting certain type of projects. So we are trying to float calls for proposals in collaboration with them. So again, the part funding comes from them and part funding will come from WRCB. So then the PI doesn't have to worry about, because sometimes those interactions with industry also can be tricky, right?
Yeah.
This part also we are trying to see if we can take care of that so that the PI can focus on research completely.
So IIT Mumbai, do we have time, Savita?
Maybe another 1 or 2 minutes because I think there's a whole bunch of questions in the
Okay,
chat box.
why don't we take
And
that?
I see Aradhita, so maybe it would be good to have. I think Aradhita, you had raised your hand.
Take
Hey,
those.
so go ahead, Ade.
Sorry about the technical glitches.
You're in transit somewhere. I can see that.
Yes, I had to travel. First, I had set aside this time to attend this, but then something came up and I had to travel. There was some network issue and couldn't be heard. But yeah, just to while I could hear you people all along. So it was really an enriching discussion to see, how intramural grants vary from your small kind of amount to a big one, and then you briefly touched upon the seed grant kind of thing, that you say that there are joint funding opportunities, like you can scale up your grant by pairing with, say, industry or some other partner and do it for your internal people. But there's another kind of intramural funding that we can look at, that are there, say, for bigger organization, umbrella organizations, which has different smaller organizations under them. So they provide a bulk funding to the organizations which come under them, which is their intramural fund. But these can again be divided into different parts. Some of it can be allocated for competitive projects within the investigators for per institute, and then some of it can go into buying or scaling up some infrastructural requirement of that institution. So these kind of things can also be done by intramural grants.
Yeah. Thanks, Radhita. In fact, that was partly my curiosity that, like how many institutions, I think most institutions have some form of that kind of intramural funding where there is a central mechanism for supporting, say, PI research to a certain extent. I mean, it could be competitive that PIs have to apply for it. And of course, some going into infrastructure, and then some which are very dedicated, which are for a specific purpose. For example, forging collaborations. So it's interesting to have heard all of the conversations today, and it's almost a shame because we have several questions in the chat box now. It's sort of picking up, but in the interest of time, we'll have to stop the conversation soon. But what I'd like to just say to everybody is, well, first of all, it's lovely to have everyone back in the room, so to speak, and for the IRMI community to have gathered. So please keep your LinkedIn profiles updated. And if you've interacted with somebody today that you'd like to have a further conversation with, find them on LinkedIn, chat, meet up if you're in the same city. I think it's the way for research managers to connect and keep informed about new ideas. And I hope you've enjoyed today's Coffee and Conversations session. And a huge thanks, of course, to Sneha, Meera, Madhavan, and Kangna for having put their thoughts together, and shared all of their experiences today. Thank you, Abdul.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got last few minutes. So I'm actually going to request Bela to share her thoughts. I know, Bela, you wanted to listen into today's conversation. So again, Bela, formerly from the India Alliance and now working for the Rhodes Trust.
Yeah, thank you, Savita. Thank you for making sure I got the link to the meeting. For me, this was a very educational experience to hear about the different kinds of intramural funding. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
it was really an educational experience to know that how intramural funding is done at different institutes and how it's how seriously it is taken. So it was an interesting meeting for me. Thank you very much, and I look forward to interacting with some of you over LinkedIn.
Thanks for joining, Bila. And I think we have Priyanka Pandya. You put your hand up again recently. So Priyanka,
Yeah,
Pandya, go ahead.
thanks, Savita. Again, India Airlines. Great presentation, everyone. It was a great discussion. Just a small question, like how challenging was it, and is it for to draw the faculty's attention to intramural funding rather than going outsourcing for other funds, and how conservative or how open these kind of interactions with the faculty is or have been till now for both institutes.
Madhavan, do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so it's faculty researchers are always looking for money, so it's not a big challenge to convince them to apply for any new opportunity to apply to find money for their research, especially for a private institution. It itself is a challenge to find a lot of funding opportunities are from the government sources. So that itself is a challenge, and any opportunity to strengthen the application that they would submit to an external agency, to any opportunity that they get to generate the data that would strengthen their application is always welcome. And so we haven't had any challenge or any issues in attracting enough number of applications, either from experienced faculty for any of the interdisciplinary grants or from the new faculty for the startup grants. And these funds are optimally utilized to generate the data that will be required to generate preliminary data or proof of concept information. Hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Madhavan. I think we are going to have to stop our coffee and conversation session today. But a huge thanks to our speakers, of course, and thanks to everyone else who's joined. And look forward to seeing you again maybe in 3 months' time at the next session. All right. So bye for now and have a lovely evening, everybody. And Abdul, thanks as ever for managing the platform. Bye.